So the Divest, Invest campaign is an effort of Operation Restoration, BAJI, the Black Alliance for Just Immigration, Familias Unidas en Acción, and Law for Black Lives. We wanted to focus on a long-term campaign and strategy to remove financial incentives for incarceration and detention in Louisiana, and instead increase investments in social services, healthcare, education, employment opportunity, and other supportive services for people. They were created to fulfill an alleged purpose, which is the idea of increased public safety. Now we know, we have all the data, all the numbers that show that that has not been the case. Immigrant detention is just another tool of mass incarceration. So both systems are targeting people of color. Both systems have a disproportionate impact on Black people. Louisiana has gone from being the prison capital of the world to being now the detention capital of the world for many reasons, but I think the one that's easiest to point to is the legislation that was passed in 2017 to reduce the number of people who are incarcerated in the state of Louisiana. And it has worked, right? So we have seen a drop in the prison population in the state. But then what we also seen immediately is a drastic increase in the immigrant population that is detained in Louisiana. The system is set up to incentivize local jails and local law enforcement to incarcerate people. Instead, they are paid per bed by day, right? And ICE, or the federal government, pays double what the state will pay you. So we're seeing jails or the immigrant facilities, ICE facilities or detention facilities placed in very strategic locations where they become the main source of employment for the community, but also to kind of put more distance between the person and their potential attorney or representative, right? So a lot of the attorneys that are here in New Orleans, immigration attorneys, are having to travel 3-4 hours one way just to see their clients. I think incarceration in this country, and particularly here in Louisiana, has had devastating impacts in communities of color. And I think that the major impact that incarceration has had in our communities is just devastating families. From a public health perspective, it's also devastating for communities, especially now that we're facing a global pandemic. It's extremely difficult to self-isolate or maintain social distances when you are in confinement, especially in overcrowded jails and prison and detention facilities, which is what we're seeing today. The need to move away from incarceration is more evident now than ever. It's the idea of punishing people, but never restoring that person's humanity, right? What's missing is it's always about punishment. So the system is not set up to rehabilitate people. It's also not set up to understand the complexity of the cases, the complexity of people's lives. So we need to start thinking differently about the world we live in and how we're gonna actually create a sense of public safety and community without the oppressive systems that we have in place right now. If we don't address the root causes or the conditions that lead people, or the conditions that have created mass incarceration, we're never gonna get rid of it, right? So in order for that to happen, if we increase our investments in education and healthcare and social services, mental health services, and other supports for people, we're pretty confident that we're going to see, our communities thriving. The long-term goal is to abolish prisons. And I know this is really hard for a lot of people to grasp. And I think it's really hard for people to imagine or reimagine the world that we live in. But there was a moment when we didn't have prisons and jails and detention. ICE didn't exist until after 9/11. So when we think about some of the systems that we have now in place that are basically, we're assuming they were always there and there's no way we can get rid of them, that's not the case. There was a time and place when they weren't there. Talk to your friends, talk to your family, and help people understand that what we're doing right now is not working. That we do have the opportunity, we have the potential to do better, and we can and we should do better for our people. We need to invest in people and not in prisons or detention or jails or policing, over-policing, surveillance. We're putting a lot of money into systems that don't work. It's time to try something different.